For this video, I'm going to show you how to make number 2 for activity 2.2, and you'll remember that this is the top front right isometric. A couple of things to point out. Number 1, it's an isometric, so this edge and this edge appear to line up, but in the perspective, they don't. They're not collinear in the perspective. This edge is technically back behind this front feature, so therefore it will fall into play right about here. What's different about a 2-point perspective is that we're drawing it from a corner edge. Now they've already provided us the corner of the box, so we'll connect these together. And they've also provided us the vanishing points. So we'll use those to help us out. Again, remember these are nice, light construction lines. So if you make a mistake, you can erase them if need be, or go back over them and adjust them slightly. Now, while I'm doing this in my depth direction, I can connect the 2 points together, but it is best if I bring them all the way out to the vanishing point. That way I'm sure to get both the practice and to make sure that I'm connecting them together with proper angle. So where I have vanishing point 1, I'm going to connect together my width direction. So this would be my first vanishing point. And where I have vanishing point 2, I'll connect together my depth directions like these. And width, one more down here. And let's not forget that this all falls on the horizon line. Vanishing points 1 and vanishing point 2, because it is a 2-point perspective. 2 sets of lines, depth and width, converge to those 2 vanishing points, both of which in this case sit on the horizon line, and my object is below it, so I will see a top, front, and in this case, right side view. That's why it'll look more like this first isometric. So now my box, I need to grid this off. Again, I could take my piece of paper and make some measurements, starting at a corner and saying if this is my width, I could fold that in half. Mark my piece of paper at the crease and see what the halfway spot is. And that's going to be roughly here. Yeah. Now, because it is a perspective, I want to be sure that my halfway point is just a little more than half. And that again is because what's closer to me should appear a little bit bigger. I'm going to bring it back to right about here. That feels better, and since it's my perspective, it's what I feel is correct, as long as in the end I'm consistent. Now, it's a little harder to make sure that I go vertical here, so I really am going to pay close attention to the edge of my protractor here, and see if it feels, as I draw this construction line, as if it's a vertical parallel line to my other height lines, which I assume are straight in the vertical position, since the 2 points that are provided for me are already there. So that's my halfway mark. I need to split those in half because the width has 4 units. This first half that I'm going to split, I'll try to go just a little more than halfway so that that first unit is a little bigger, and then this one I'll go just a little more than halfway as well, so that the last unit is what seemingly would be the smallest. I feel like this one's just a little too far back. Let me bring it in just a little bit. Okay, I like that better. Now that they're at the top edge, we'll bring them across to the vanishing point 2, so that on the top face, they set my depth, since the top has 2 dimensions, depth and width, and I will use depth lines in this case, coming across, setting my width. From this point to here, I'm going to have the right side face, which is 2 units in depth. So splitting this in half would be right about here. I'm going to go just a touch further, make that front unit a little bit bigger than the back unit, trying to make this as vertical as possible, like that. I reached the top of it, so I vanished to vanishing point 1, just as I did when I went over to vanishing point 2. Alright, I'm going to split this front corner into 3 equal parts, as the height has 3. Now, once I've split this into 3 equal parts, it's going to be a lot easier for me if I think of this as having not necessarily splitting it in half, but once I identify the first third, splitting that third roughly in half. And then I want to really pay close attention to where these marks are. I don't want one to necessarily be bigger than the other. All right, I feel like those are good. I'm going to bring them back from this corner to vanishing point 2 and vanishing point 1. So we're right in there. I like those. It's pretty good. They all seem relatively even in height. Now my box is gridded off, so I can go in and identify my surface faces. Erase a little bit of the lines to let the box stand out somewhat. And if I come back up here, I find that I need to start from this corner and go 1, 2, 3 units back towards the left. 1, 2, 3 units back towards the left. I'll go up 2, back towards the right 3, and down 2. Up 2, back towards the right 2, or 3, and then down 2. Now at the same time, I could also think about this right side face being a 2 by 2, 2 by 2 unit. Alright, I'll delineate those 2 surface faces. Line this up with my vanishing point. Pivot. Connect. Come to this side. Pivot. And connect. And connect. Top face. Right here. Now, this one's trickier. I got to think about this corner. That's, in my opinion, the best place to start. If I start here, that's all the way back, up 3 units, all the way over to here. So, we have 4 units in width, 3 units in height, 2 units in depth. 1, 2, 3, 4 units in width, 1, 2, 3 units in height, and 1, 2 units in depth. This back corner right here. I'll come towards the front 1, towards the right 2, and then back 1, and towards the left 2. So in other words, that is here, here, 1, 2, here, and then back 2. Delineate those. Use my vanishing point. Make sure I'm on spot. Good. On point over here. Good. And then on point with here. And on point here. So there are my surface faces and delineation for them, as well as having the grid all marked off, vanishing points being used. And my next video will show how to create the interior edges, as they are a little more complicated than before, and how to then, in my last video, tonal shade this using the tonal shade lines.